Yeah, so Florida, we have universal school choice. Like I grew up in Dunedin, Florida, on the west coast of Florida. Has anyone ever heard of Dunedin? Has anyone ever been? You've heard of it? Okay. Toronto Blue Jays spring training, so the baseball fans may have heard of it. And I went to Dunedin High School, and that was kind of it. And yes, I mean, my family, if they could have paid to go to private, they would have had that, but they would have gotten no scholarship from the state. So that was kind of that. Now, same kid growing up, you will have an ability to have a scholarship that you can take to private school. You can have an ability to go to a charter school, which are public schools but are not controlled by the school district or influenced by the teacher union. And then within your school district, you likely have multiple choices for different schools outside of your own neighborhood that are part of the public school district. So parents have an array of options now in the state of Florida. And what has that done? Our performance, student performance, is better today by far than it was 20 years ago. We were 3rd and 4th respectively in 4th grade reading, 4th grade math, number 3 in K-12 achievement, and number 1 overall for education by U.S. News and World Report. So the whole debate about school choice, oh, it's going to take away from public school, this or that, that debate is over. Florida shows that choice works. And I don't think you can even argue that at this point. And by the way, as governor, I've done billions of dollars in pay increases for teachers. We've done a lot for public education, both charter and districts, and we're proud of doing that because it's all about getting the kids where they need to go and having the parents have the guiding hand in that. Nationally, you're never going to be able to get Chicago to offer choices to the parents because the teacher union controls that. And it's like a hammerlock. Los Angeles, hammerlock. Philadelphia, it's like a hammerlock. So how do you deal with it? Well, we can just sit here and say, oh, someday you'll elect people in those areas that are going to change it. That will not happen in our lifetime, most likely. So we have an opportunity from the federal level to do a program through corporate tax credits, which is similar to what we started in Florida, where a corporation can just write off a certain percentage of their tax liability. It goes to a scholarship, an entity that runs the scholarships, and then parents can apply all across the country. We did 100,000 kids, both administrative costs and scholarship, for $1 billion in Florida. 25 to 50 billion would revolutionize. You do millions of kids potentially, so you can be in a place like, and I mean, it would apply to anywhere. It apply here in the Quad Cities. It apply to people in Nevada and Florida. It doesn't matter. But you talk about the areas where there's less hope, like a Chicago or a Philly. All of a sudden now those parents are going to be able to access scholarships and liberate their families and these kids from systems that are failing them. And what happens is when people see that there are those scholarships available, it creates entrepreneurship in education. People will start schools knowing that there's a stream of revenue that they can tap into with these scholarships. So in Florida, we've got a lot of stuff. I mean, we have charter schools that are chartered by Hillsdale College out of Michigan, which is classical education. You know, we've got private schools that run the gamut from Christian schools, the Jewish day schools, everything in between. And then parents can make decisions, and these schools have to compete for students. So we'll do that nationally. It'll be a relatively minor expense in the overall budget, but it'll be a huge step in giving people all across this country the opportunity to get a good education. Yes?
Even though Iowa is a Republican state, there's a lot of schools that still have transgender and all that. Like, not far from here, like 30 minutes, there's a school that spent a lot of money on transgender stuff.
And you think that's wrong? Yeah, look, I mean, here's the thing. Like, why is this something that people are obsessed with jamming into the schools? That's what I don't understand. Are we doing so good on reading and math and science in this country that we're going to tell third graders that they can change their gender? Is that really something that is in our best interest as a society? Of course it's not. So part of it is it's definitely an agenda where they're trying to tell kids that this is all their gender is just fluid. And look, you know, we've had human beings for thousands and thousands of years. You know, you're born one or the other. Like, that's just the reality. And to teach kids something different is just wrong. It's not true. But it's also the opportunity cost. If you're focusing on that, what are you not focusing on? Well, by definition, you're not teaching them about the Constitution. You're not teaching them about math. You're avoiding something to be able to indulge in that. So in Florida, we said no to it, and that's just the reality. And they have pornographic materials they're trying to shove into schools now. Why are they trying to do that? When parents, in Florida, parents have a right to inspect the curriculum. So when they figure out some of these things that are clearly not age or developmentally appropriate, they will go and they will confront like the school board with it, and like nobody defends it. In fact, a lot of times the parents aren't even allowed to recite what's in these materials because they're too graphic to air in a public forum. We actually have law now in Florida that says if the school board meeting, if they will not let you recite the book, then by definition it's not age appropriate to be in school for that. So you have this stuff, and it's part of an agenda, which I just don't understand how that's good for our kids. I don't understand how it's good for the country. So we've led in Florida on that. Part of it is there's things you do at the state level, which is important, but then some of these school boards and the unions can fight you. So you got to you're always having to do these battles. I mean, for example, in Florida, when we did our Parents' Bill of Rights, I signed it, and then this was like when COVID was first going on, and I signed it, and then I said, you know what, pursuant to the Parents' Bill of Rights, school districts cannot force these kids to wear masks. That's up to the parent. And some of the school districts defied me. We did litigation, and we eventually won that. But that's kind of the nature that's one of the reasons why I got involved in a lot of school board races. We elected 29 conservative school board members throughout Florida in 2022 because you can have good policies at the state level, but you need folks locally to also be helping. So my sense would be Iowa at the state level probably has the policy right, but some of these school districts or unions are pushing their agenda in defiance of the wishes of the state.